Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 415. We were just kind of hanging out, waiting for people to drop in, and it's like 9 o'clock, so I figured, you know what? Let's just go live. Let's just get this rolling. You should see Josie pop in, OJ. Sean, I was surprised he was going to be awake long enough to do his, he had prior obligations for another show that was going to cut into this one. So I was like, just go do that show for tonight. So I think that doesn't start till almost 10 o'clock at night tonight. And people don't know about Sean is he'll just go to bed early, but in order to get there, he'll just watch The Simpsons over and over again until he falls asleep at night. And also after what happened to the Knicks, I'm surprised he's out of bed today at all. So
surprised he's alive.
I know.
You do the sign of life call on him after that game.
Yeah, we had to do the check-in. We had to check. We had to just double check, make sure everything was okay over there.
Tell his Gma to go over.
Just had to make sure he was
take the knives out of the kitchen or something.
Yeah. It was not great. Not a great night for him. But you'll see some people pop in here pretty soon. I think OJ was doing the pre-show, so he'll be dropping in as well. This is episode 415. You know what it kind of feels? It kind of feels a bit like the calm. We're in the calm before the storm right now. So of course, I'm joined by Evan over here. How's it going, Evan?
Yep.
Good to have him here. We're going into June, and I can tell you now, June's going to be like crazy. It's going to be ridiculous there. There's a lot of stuff happening. The Switch 2 will launch, but also I feel like there's going to be 5 or 6, maybe 7 different shows happening and a ton of reveals and a lot of stuff around pricing. It's it's going to be wild next month, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Going on, Pickle Rick? How we doing? Is it going? So we have I do have a bunch of stuff set up here though. There's OJ. Right on time, right as the intros were rolling. So watch now, Josie's gonna pop in right after you drop in here. So
yes, sir.
All synced up. How'd the pre-show go?
Went good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, went good. That's good to hear. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I run a pre-show for the Spawncast. You guys can stop by and hear me talk about absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I saw you had like the PS6 is in there. Saw that.
Yeah, PS6 that I didn't even talk about till the very end.
PlayStation 6 talk. People just trying to figure out when that thing's even going to be coming out, man.
Yeah, it looks like 2027. That's what I predicted. I predicted 2027 even before the rumors started coming out. I thought 2027 would be a spot, 7 to 8 years, and that's part of what we're looking at for the generations. So.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be one of those things that does not sit well with people. 2020.
Probably not, but it's probably going to be a massive generation anyway. So, right?
Yeah. PS5 will be around forever. Yeah, I think it's going to be.
I honestly think we're going to still be playing PS5. Like, even like it's going to be like 10 years old. It's like, oh, yeah, PS5 games,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case, especially with the PS5 Pro. People just spent $700-800 on that thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's the new one." A couple years later,
thinking about it, PS5 is really good. Like if you play it, it's fine. Like there's still more. Like I'm not just saying that just because I'm a console gamer. Obviously, PC gamers might think differently. But I mean, if you play a game like Clair Obscur, or if you play Split Fiction, or if you play Kingdom Come Deliverance, all these games play just fine on PS5. It's the ideas that make the games like so much more like really fun. And they run just fine on PS5. Like there doesn't necessarily need to be some type of massive, super huge bump to get great games like Clair Obscur. I think that game is like, wow, look at what they did on the PS5, and it runs just fine. I mean, the pop-in's bad, but that's probably more due to development resources than, and needing more power,
Celia is at a family member birthday party. So she's out for tonight. She'll be back next week though. But she's having fun at a birthday party somewhere out there right now. Yeah, PS5 Pro too. That's the thing. It's like, what do they even do with the PS6 to make people feel like they need to jump ahead? It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I have a PS5 Pro and it's fantastic. It's really good. It's good for the third-party games. It runs everything. It's powerful. So.
Yeah, it's tough. It's kind of like what a lot of video card manufacturers running into that now, where Nvidia or AMD or whoever, it's hard to be like, yo, this 4K is more 4K, or it's not selling as much on brute force as it used to. Whereas it was it's so much easier for them to say, look how this PS2 game looks versus this PS1, or look at the you could PS4 versus PS3. I mean, there was just obvious frame rate improvements and resolution. 720p versus 1080p was a big thing.
Yeah, I still think, I don't know if it'll ever get to where it was like you said, like with the PS2. I'd probably say the PS1 to the PS2 was probably like biggest no-brainer. This is like so much better, at least from what I remember. You know, like seeing N64 to GameCube, it was like,
yeah, that was
like,
nice.
You need this next system. Like you need this next system.
Yep, that was a big deal. That was big, especially then because it was like going from cartridge to disc, and you had full motion video that actually was able to represent it. So like, whereas before with N64 was you just had screenshots of stuff that took place of video files. That was really funny.
Or like even seeing like on GameCube, for example, even seeing something like Metal Gear Solid, right?
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, seeing that, or even just seeing the Metal Gear Solid 2. Remember when you first saw like Metal Gear Solid 2, 60 frames, and like you can shoot the bottles and all. It was just, it was something that it was such a huge jump over Metal Gear Solid, like the original Metal Gear Solid, or at least the Metal Gear Solid on the PS1, you know? So
we just had a lot of breakout games. And Splinter Cell was another one that looked crazy at the time. And
on the original OG Xbox, fantastic.
Yeah.
So
even
good.
that, even the PS, I mean, a lot of people had PS2 obviously then, but even that looked crazy for its time at that point. So it was different times now where it's like everything's kind of expected to look good nowadays. It's just like, what else you got?
Yeah, you got to really bring it with the gameplay. But the cool thing about games back then is that since there wasn't the DLC and the patching, it's like you gotta get it right the pressure was always on to get it right the first time, you know? I remember when I first saw Super Smash Bros. Melee, and that game, how expertly crafted that game is. It's still being played in today's day, obviously, but even back then, it was nuts seeing Smash 64 to Melee. It was just crazy how much faster the game looked, even though they both were 60, but the movement options and things. So developers had to get real creative, you know, and also had to make sure that their games were ready to go on launch day, you know.
I'll give you that, Jay. The no load times now, and even you can say even higher frame rates up to 120. But the load times, if people, because it's been a while now, like since the PS5 and the Xbox Series came out, 4.5 years. It's very noticeable when you go back to a PS4 or an Xbox One with a mechanical hard drive. Load times start popping up, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about these. Dude, it's much more seamless now.
Dude, it was crazy. I went back to play on the Xbox One S just for giggles. A while ago, I went back to play Recore. Remember that game Recore on the Xbox One? Dude, the load times between different zones within the thing, they're like almost. I felt like a minute. Felt like it was like a minute. I was like, I turned it off, man. I was like, it was so bad.
The trick is if you have access to a game where the load times, if you have better hardware, do actually improve, and then you play it. Like when I went back to test Bad Company 2 for whatever we were doing a couple months ago or years ago. And you see the load screen pop up and then immediately go away.
Yeah.
All right.
They still have that load screen there. That's the thing.
Yeah, it just boop, boop, and it's gone.
That's kind of like Claire Obscure. It's like there's like a tip. Hey, you can do that. Okay, it's gone.
It's gone before you can read it.
Can't read the tip. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but now a lot of the games are just developed without load screens even being present. So it just kind of skips past that. A lot of times it'll fade out and then fade right back in. And it's like, oh, that's where a load screen would have usually been, where you sat there and watched a bar fill up. But that's a big thing that people haven't really thought of much at all. is like, oh yeah, load times have kind of gone away. And now it's like, okay, you're going to go from 4K to better 4K, from an SSD to another SSD. And it's like, I'm trying to think of what the jump is now. That's going to make people go, yeah, okay, this makes sense. Other than just better upscaling.
I think it's going to be game native 4K 120 frames, or like native 4K 60 frames for like pretty much everything, right? Like everything's just going to run at native 4K 60 frames or native 4K 120 frames. I'm guessing that's what they're going to try to aim for. And then, you know, also have like the functionality stuff better in terms of, I don't know, like better built-in tools to stream and record, and you know, because those were some of the things that they added with the PS5. So maybe they just take those tools and make it even better.
Yeah, so it was interesting before we went live, OJ. I don't know if I've seen this before. We were Evan and I were sitting here kind of checking out they added like options and stuff now to StreamYard, and one of them is to go into like a portrait mode.
Oh, don't click it. We might crash the internet.
I don't think I can now. I don't think it's there anymore. But we tried it, and it tries to shrink all the screens down onto like a vertical phone format.
Oh,
and it looks super weird.
Yeah, you know what? That actually stuff doing that during a stream, yeah, can definitely easily crash the stream. I've had it done to me during Streamlabs OBS, like studio mode, like where it shrinks or you put it side by side so you can make like active stuff being done. Yeah, that can completely crash things. So I can see maybe how Nintendo was trying to do it, maybe with their not have.
I don't think I can do it anymore, crash. But it was funny. I clicked it. I was like, because it's all new now, apparently, StreamYard. I clicked it, and it did put us in like this super weird looking format that just was not great. But I guess Evan was saying like the vertical streaming on YouTube is like big right now.
For our faces.
It was like
terrible.
That.
Yeah, you can get into more feeds if you do the vertical streaming.
People in the chat, let me know. Do you watch a lot of the vertical streams? We thought about the idea of dual streaming or something. I mean, I get the format.
You can do it. I don't know if StreamYard can dual stream. I know OBS can.
Yeah, Streamlabs OBS can do it very easily. It's just a toggle. It'll put it out to normal, but then it'll also put you on there. So it's a dual thing.
You can make adjustments so it's better designed for it. But
I figure a lot of people just listen anyway. Like they just have the phone down or headphones in or just whatever.
I think the vertical streaming's good if you're like just doing a solo show, and like you're just going from I think vertical streaming, or like if you're just playing like Fortnite or something like that. I think it's good for stuff like that when it comes to the vertical streaming. I don't know about like a big podcast like this,
Yeah, the dual streaming probably makes more sense than hey, let's pick one or the other. I could see.
Yeah. Don't pick definitely do a dual if you're going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I watch my TV. Yeah, that's good. I hear a lot of people saying they're using their TV more and more for YouTube now.
You can always turn your TV sideways.
Yeah,
nice and Vesta mounted.
You just look sideways yourself.
You just lay down on the couch.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. What do we have tonight? I got the Randy Pitchford. I had to get that tweet. The Pitchford tweet heard around the world that people discovered a week later.
And his other response, right? His full response.
He started just posting stuff on Twitter X, but then also he was on stage, I think at PAX, and was kind of describing it a bit more. But that was a whole thing. We have the Nintendo Direct rumors that I think most people expected to pop up eventually, but they've popped up a couple weeks, maybe sooner, or at least 1 week sooner than expected.
Here we go again.
Not even into June. Dude, Marathon. We had literally dropped a few hours before we went live here. Where I don't know what's happened to Marathon, but I think that thing's in serious trouble, like real trouble.
Yeah,
and
that's what they get for stealing Evan's art.
Yeah, hey, I'm telling you, man, they got a track record, and I kind of think Sony's like, do we want this game to really come out? It's kind of like that. And then a few other things, including the Switch 2 revision that was mentioned by Bloomberg. And I was going through some. Oh, Evan, I also have something about Battlefield just for you, since I think you might finally be interested in this next Battlefield game. We'll see.
I was interested in the last one, but the new one does sound awesome.
And Take-Two, EA providing concerns to investors about generative AI, which if you were online this past week and you saw what Google dropped, I don't know. It's getting a little scary out there with how.
Dude, I don't know. If you actually watch the trailers they put out, it's just horrible. The faces having to stare at the camera. There was that one trailer with the talking part. They had the two sci-fi people who were like, we can talk now. And they just looked at the camera and sat there staring for 2 whole seconds. It's just really awkward.
Man, I'm telling you, it's getting a little sketchy out there. Let's start with our good friend Randy Pitchford here, the magician. I noticed, I think at PAX he started doing some magic tricks too, I think is what was going on. I was skimming through it. I was like, oh, he has people like standing up and talking about their birthdays and stuff. That's interesting. Randy made the news with Borderlands 4, which is out in September. And we don't know the pricing for it yet. That is a key part of this story. All right. So we don't know how much it's going to cost. But when pressed about this a bit over on social media, specifically on good old Twitter X, someone asked or said it better not be $80. So it wasn't as it did sound a little pushy to a bit there. So I guess he took that and said, you know what, I'll respond to this one, of course. Anyway, when he did that, he got like 4,000 replies. So he definitely hit the beehive a bit. And most of that's because, one, he said, it's not my call. And then he said, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Then he started discussing a game for the Sega Genesis called Starflight that was $80 in 1991. and he figured out a way to buy it with his minimum wage job. Anyway, he did go on from there, and he worked to try to, I guess, smooth over or just add more context. And he did this during a stage presentation. It looked like at PAX, I believe is where this is. And in that, he did talk a bit more about, hey, we're entertainers. We want more people to get this game. If it was up to us, it really is up to the publisher, Take-Two, 2K, whoever. He is technically the CEO at Gearbox Development. So he is heading up the developer side. And then there's like the money side, technically, for publishing, packaging, distributing, that kind of stuff. So I get the idea that it's not his say, but I do think he has some kind of influence, a little bit at least, to be like, hey, this is kind of what we envision this game to be priced at. Okay, now you guys can go crazy with your collector's editions, but this is sort of where we are. But in that sense, he didn't say it's 70 or 80, but he did say they're trying hard to deliver a game that will make the consumer feel like they got one over basically on the publisher. That's the idea, right? So when I'm looking at this, we lost OJ. What happened?
What did we click overall? What did you click?
I didn't click anything. There we go. We're back.
I'm here.
There we go.
Is it because why is Sean here? What is this?
I had a few minutes to kill.
Oh, okay. That's fine. We just brought up the $80 game with Randy Pitchford. Randy, your friend. Randy. And so he goes through all of that, but of course, people still looking at the tweet. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. $80 for Borderlands 4. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if this is a $70 game and this is him going back and forth with it, and now people will be relieved that it's 70. So Sean, are you a real fan? Are you buying Borderlands 4?
No, I'm not really a Borderlands fan to begin with. I think they're fine, but it's a 2K game, and I know like previous Borderlands games have sold insanely well, but I do kind of wonder like how many of those were on like steep discounts, because I remember seeing during like the holiday season.
They do Friday. Hit the $20 mark occasionally.
A lot of them are on steep discounts. I mean, it sells. Yeah. There's a dedicated base of millions of people who buy it, so they make their money. But yeah, a lot of the sales is down to sometimes even $5.
I think the last one, when I purchased it with my friends, it was like a $10 Steam discount. We played it for a weekend. It was still buggy as hell 2 years later.
I got Borderlands 3. I remember I bought Borderlands 3 in 2020. I got that for $20 in 2020. And I think when did that game come out? Was it 20? When did Borderlands 3 come out? I forgot.
It was.
I know I had it.
Wasn't that like 6 years ago? I feel like it was a while ago. I feel like it was like 2018, 2019, 2019,
September 2019.
Okay, so I got it a year later, and I got it for $20 or less. So I mean, they usually get, and I know it was discounted to like 40 and to like other prices before. I didn't even jump on it when it was like 40 or anything. So I jumped on it when it was like 20. I got it for like 15 plus tax. Yeah, Best Buy. There you go.
They always do a lot of expansions and other things anyway. So it is funny to think that they would try to push this base game up to 80 when they know they're going to sell people a bunch of other stuff after the fact. It's like, it probably doesn't need to be 70. They could probably go with 60 and still make a bunch of money off of it. But I mean, 70 is now the price that people will be somewhat happy and relieved to see. Go figure, because of 80. Whereas 4.5 years ago, it was 70 was a major talking point. That was a whole thing then. So it's this weird knock-on effect with $80. It's like it's made the $50 game look super cheap, and it's made the $70 game tolerable. But we are about to see a lot of games get priced, and we're about to see a lot of games get announced for release dates in June. So I feel like we're going to see another $80 game here pretty soon. But I don't think it's Borderlands 4. I will go on record. I think it's a $70 game.
What do you have a guess as to what is the $80 game?
The obvious answer, almost the cop-out answer, is Call of Duty, right? That's like, it's going to be called. That's an $80 game.
Yeah, I think they kind of already stated that though a little bit, right? Or like,
yeah, Microsoft said select games are going to be 80, but we know Microsoft is doing it, and we know that Nintendo is doing it with Mario Kart World. So I think the better question from Sean is, what is the $80 game that we're not thinking of yet? That is a good question.
It has to be something like a Call of Duty. It has to have extremely strong IP, something that sells ridiculously well. I don't think you just throw it willy-nilly at a franchise that's kind of, I mean, you have to sell at least 10 mil of your game easy peasy in order, like 10 mil of like full sales, like within the first like 6 months or something, to justify that price point. Because I see some people saying Madden and stuff. I don't think Madden will be.
Madden 70.
No,
they already
I think EA already came out and said, but EA makes so much money off of the microtransactions. So it's like they don't need to do the $80 when they make that. I mean, if you average out what they make on microtransactions, like damn near every purchase is like $120. Like they make a ton. Like that's what
I think this is it right here.
Going,
I think this is it. I think it might be the next Resident Evil game.
You think Capcom does it?
Capcom has they've been on record a couple of times, and I had to be reminded of this, by the way, a few weeks ago. Might have been on one of the podcasts where they were pretty outspoken about prices being low, and they're like, we kind of would like it to be even higher than 70.
Yeah, they raised the price for Monster Hunter. Obviously, that was their first 70, right? I think that was because like Resident Evil 4 remake was like Resident Evil Village, So that was
right. Yeah. Resident Evil Village. That was what was that price?
That was 60, right? Or was that 70?
Yeah, right.
I think that was 60.
Am I wrong?
I don't remember.
I feel like that when that came out, it was just 60. Because they had deluxe editions and all kinds of stuff hitting them.
Capcom, like they do that. Like I remember Resident Evil 7 when that game came out. It was like, oh, it's 60. And they're like, a week later, here's DLC. Like here's like $10.
That's kind of the thing. Like, would it be just the flat increase, or would they do the trick of you'll get a part of a story like a year later in DLC, or like there's always that little tag in where they make it feel like you're getting more, even if it's not real.
That seems to be the route to go if you don't want the backlash, because like Ghost of Yote or did that. It's like, oh, it's 70, but you want like the actual like full thing. Oh, give us 80, and like people are like, all right, we'll give you 80.
And a lot of the
that's
games
like doing really well,
And a lot of the games are like 70 or 100 if you want it 2 days beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Well, it's like
right?
WWE. You get the $100 version, you get it early, and you get all of the DLC that they release over the year. Which, I mean, I buy it. I'll keep it honest.
Yeah, but it's DLC is included as well,
right? But you know, for a yearly game, I could kind of understand it a little bit more, because obviously you're not going to have all the DLC done on day one. But a bigger game, like a single player game and stuff like that, it's been in development for a very long time and stuff like that. I don't know.
This is a good example here from Attack the Backlog of a game you as mentioned. Will they try to sell you a more expensive version earlier? That's what Death Stranding 2 is doing. And I do think part of that is people don't want to be spoiled, or they want to get to this game and not necessarily have stuff pop up, just in conversation on, because it's only a 2-day early thing.
Yeah, the
for I think $80. And it's like that, because they're like, it's like an 80. People are saying it's a 70-hour game or something. So I don't even know how much will really be spoiled necessarily. Although someone will probably try to power through it in 2 or 3 days. That's another game that's doing that. So I almost wonder if, while the $80 tag is something people are thinking is going to pop up a lot now, I don't see these companies running face first into it yet. Like, even when I saw EA go, we'll see, maybe not right away. But then when it went to 70, they released a new Madden game, or the same Madden game, but they released it again December 4th for the Xbox Series and the PS5 for 70. I don't know. I almost wonder if there is that a little concern around that $80 price tag, maybe just being too much for most games, other than a few select ones that can probably overcome it.
They gotta wait and see the test. They gotta wait and see the testing phase. They gotta see how other games do first before they really decide to commit to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or they can just continue doing the trick. I mean, that's just, you can just do the same thing. You can get your 80 if you want, or you can get your 100. Look at Forza. You can get your damn $100 if you want.
There's sort of this like 2-stage thing with games. You get you have the attempt to bring in new players, which you're hoping you're going to do, and then you have the players who are already invested who might want to continue going. So going to 80, I feel like for a lot of the people who are like, oh, I'm new to this, I want to try it, I don't know if 80's for them. So having that like 60 starter to get in on it might be a bit better for them, as opposed to just being like all 80 and then you've leveled out, which is kind of a thing in games where everyone's like, we've kind of almost hit the ceiling for how many gamers are going to be buying this kind of stuff. So maybe they're just trying to charge more to make that ceiling feel bigger for themselves.
I mean, you could also make the case though that like $70 games have gotten a lot less of, oh, I'll try that sort of thing. And that's why you had so many $70 games just, I mean, really not do very well. And then you see the steep discount, and then people, you know, try it out at a different price point, and then, you know, this, that, and the other. But I don't know. I mean, you can only push people so far to where they're just like, unless it's, you know, a certain game by a certain company, or, you know, has a very strong IP or very strong following, like I don't think the risk is worth the reward.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if games go to 90, if we get another increase there, Red Dragon, in 2026. I think companies are trying to figure
it'll
out.
It'll be 2025, damn it. That's when we're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might. I think nothing is off the table anymore.
Yeah, because we're already at secret $100 games with the 2 or 3 day advance notice. We're already there. Like, you don't know it yet.
I think you're right. The advanced release ones, I think that's the real strategy that these companies are going to keep doing, because it's like the game can't be released now. Are you sure? Because
think about it,
people are playing it.
You're visually seeing their roadmap for discounts. Like you're visually seeing their sales roadmap, and it's like, all right,
that's true.
College football. They made a ton off of that early release. Like it was crazy because the game was actually good too. It was like, wait a minute, the game's good. And it's early release. Like it's a good football game from EA. No way. Like, so that was like nuts. So if you have a good game, you can get away with that, you know, and for the fans, easy.
And plus, it was 20 or not 20. It was over 10 years. I think it was 11 years. What was the last college football? Was the last one. 2014. Yeah. So I mean, you had hype around it, and it was true. It was different, you know. It previewed. I mean, not that previews really matter, but it previewed well enough to the point of where it, you know, people were saying it was different to get people interested, and it ended up, you know, being a different style.
I think it was also hype too, because like college players are now getting paid. They're now multimillionaires. So it was also kind of like, you know, it lets them advertise the game too, because they were all advertising it as well. Like, you know, they were all, you know, advertising. You don't have to wait till the dudes in the NFL and say, oh, well, now I'm on the cover. It was actual current players that were on there. So that I think
summer sale going to come in half off for like $40 still.
Yeah, we do that.
50% off. It's $40. Great. Man. Marathon will save us all.
Did you see the thing that
I have it in there?
Sony
I had to write that down. I was like, there's no way that this game is that game's in trouble, man. I'm sorry, that game is in trouble.
Just go ahead and you know, put it on the path of Concord, throw fair games in there. Like, what do you
Did you see the fair games report?
Yeah, it sucks. The game stinks.
So I saw this being discussed in real time a bit by Colin on his show, and he was kind of like, I heard about fair games, but I don't know if I can say anything about it yet. I got to check with the people, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, there was a play test that happened, obviously, and he got word about it. So anyway, he comes back with information about it now, which the show is still behind their Patreon paywall thing. So that's why when I saw this article pop, I'm like, I mean, that's, I guess, still good advertising for them, even though it's, you know, they'll release the show on Monday publicly. But still, the information is out there now.
How much are they making the show, John? What's their Patreon at, John?
Oh, their Patreon's very, very healthy. Very healthy.
So I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay.
Well, okay. So the deal with fair games, when it was described, it's described as an extraction shooter came up. I was like, there's no way, man. This thing is really an extraction shooter. So it's an extraction heist shooter, basically, where people get dropped in, and yes, you're supposed to be robbing some billionaire or something, and then you get out of there. But it's all extraction based as well, where you're fighting against other people, and it didn't sound that unique, and apparently it just isn't very good.
I'm not gonna lie, it's not even that new. There was already a game based around Robin Hood where I think it was like 3v3 set.
That's what was brought up was
Yeah,
they were talking about
that-
like Robin Hood.
That crashed
I'm
and
like,
burned.
Man,
No
you
one
gotta
cared
be
about that
kidding
game.
me.
What? Just remake Payday 2. Like that's all people really want. Just remake Payday 2. Modern graphics.
No, the problem is if you remake Payday 2, they want Payday 2 with all the DLC, which is hundreds of hours of things that they will not remake immediately.
That's better than how Payday 3 worked out for him. All right, I gotta go do another show. Goodbye.
Bye, Sean.
What show is he going to?
Blaze. He had set that up a little while ago. He was going to Blaze's podcast.
No
He had set it up, and it's like it starts after the show that he's usually on Saturday nights. So he's like, I'll come by for a bit. So he's popping over there. I told him if I finish up here and they're still going, I might pop over and just say hi.
Yeah, Blaze, he drops by this show a lot. So
oh yeah, definitely. Shout out to Blaze. So yeah, you can check him out. Oh, he missed he just missed Gingerbread Tiger Woods. Gosh. With the Hogan on the link by I had to work late. I missed Analog Allies Thursday. Please make sure Sean gets some of this. Also great content, everyone. Shout out to Gingerbread Tiger Woods. How you doing, Josie?
Good. Am I frozen?
Yes.
Well,
it's fine. We'll just call it a thumbnail.
No. Again.
She looks very unimpressed.
yeah,
That's awful. Well, that sucks. Okay. I'll just do this.
That's fine. We can hear you.
Today.
You look
Okay.
Well, you look somewhat impressed now.
Now you look shocked.
Exactly. I'm shocked. It's my
Stunned
Switch
and
2 thumbnail.
confused.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to have Josie here.
Yeah. Happy
Yeah,
I
Josie
could
here.
pop in.
We were talking about your gaming genre of choice live service. You into Fortnite people. You still playing Fortnite like that? Okay. She seems to be
she went to go
Josie,
play
you okay over
Fortnite.
there?
She went to go play Fortnite, dude.
Well,
So,
I mean, last time we brought it up, she said her and her friends weren't really playing it that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the finals. Oh, wait, there she is. She's
I'm back.
Okay.
back again.
We played a lot last night.
So there you go.
Getting back into it. Nice.
Yeah, they added AI Darth Vader in it, and you can
Did you-
just
Oh,
like
gosh.
hold
Did
down
you
your
make
mic.
it say a slur?
No. But
That's
you
what
can
everyone's
like
trying to do, apparently.
That's what everyone's doing.
you can do it. People have done
Yeah.
it. Like I've seen clips. It's crazy. But we rocked with an AI Vader last night, and he's crazy. I was playing as Toph, and he was like, "Oh, like Toph, the dark side is strong with you." It was really funny.
I feel so old right now to the point where I just feel like I'm about to just gomage away compared to
Just be Thanos snapped
just
into.
just fade away compared to all this new shit that people are doing.
God, I wish. Oh,
Look, I'm just gonna just fade away at this point. I feel so old.
The fair games, though, Josie. So, big live service fan you are.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen anything about fair games. If you haven't,
No,
it's probably good. You haven't seen the trailer for it?
no.
I wanted to get your take on this because I think you're going to view it a little differently than we will, just because
it's the Fortnite.
it has
aesthetic.
a little bit of that Fortnite aesthetic kind of to it, like the color scheme and stuff. It looks sort of like that game that's supposed to be serious but isn't quite taking itself seriously. But it is a heist shooter that apparently is also an extraction shooter. Okay. It's from
Okay.
Haven Studios. I'll catch you up to speed. Okay. It's from Haven Studios. The founder left a couple weeks ago. It's going really well there.
Okay, makes
And-
sense.
And
Full steam
and
ahead.
now, yeah, we have some news about the play test not going well, described as clunky and as a extraction heist shooter. Okay. This is from Haven, who was founded a few years ago, and then Sony bought them. I don't know if fair games is something you're interested in, Josie. I'm going to assume it's not.
Probably no.
Okay. Not that
I'm like
one.
looking at it right now. It's just
Okay, good. I was asking if you were checking the trailer out.
yeah.
There's no
I'm
gameplay in
watching
the
it.
trailer, by the way.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I thought there was gameplay in the first one, but like it was really tight 5-second little clips that didn't make any sense.
This looks like colorful Payday, no?
Yeah, no.
There it is. Good. The Payday. Okay, there's the Payday.
The
comparison. Good
payday
stuff.
elements, but with a lot of hero shooter aspects plus what appears to be like Fortnite style shooting and some abilities and stuff.
What do you think the S is a $sign?
That they removed.
Well, the S is a $sign, and that just it felt very like, how do you do, fellow kids, there with the dollar. So apparently they removed
the logo. Yeah, they just put the.
I think people at the studio just got annoyed having to type out the $sign to feel like they were still part of the team, like with that mindset.
Looking game though, like that just feels like they have no identity. They just like saw Fortnite and they were like, oh, let's do that and let's throw Payday in here too.
Why create an identity when you can just recycle?
Yeah,
it looks like a Ubisoft game. So
yeah.
Well, that game is not doing well. Playtest not going well.
That's a shocker.
Kind of wonder if that game's coming out now. I got to be real. The playtest was so poor apparently that Jade Raymond got out of there. So, which shout out to her.
Cord yet again.
Man, I wish I could. She's navigating the gaming industry really well, actually. If you think about it, from like she's like that backup quarterback that doesn't really ever play but collects millions of dollars.
No, it's
actually impressive.
It's the villain from any serialized cartoon show that's just like, I'll get you next time, gadget, and just like goes out the airlock. Yeah.
Hey. Well, the other game, Josie, is Marathon. In your live service wisdom, have you seen Marathon at all? I'm kind of hoping you haven't. Because I like the idea of you discovering these games while we're talking about them and then just immediately giving us your reaction in real time.
Okay, let me look it up. Marathon.
Okay, good stuff. All right, cool. This is exciting.
I watched
because you're like the Fortnite. You're the Fortnite person. Like, I mean, see, this is the thing. You when did you start playing Fortnite, Josie?
2017, like right at the beginning when it came to the Switch.
Like, how old were you in 2017?
Like 14.
Perfect.
How long ago was that?
Good stuff. So this is like when you were playing that, it was like me with the GameCube and the original Xbox.
Yes.
That lines up well. So you see how I kind of think about the GameCube and the original Xbox, and
yeah.
That's how you're kind of viewing Fortnite. So I like this. So you can kind of give me the thought process there around Marathon.
Well, I like the art style.
Oh, perfect. Hold on to that for a minute. Hold on to that one. The art style. Okay. It is an extraction shooter is the idea.
Like casual and focused, so easier to deal with than Tarkov.
Yep. The shooting looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Classic Bungie, yeah.
Bungie's very good with that. They're very good at shooting, the shooting mechanics. So as you go
kind of weird.
What's that?
The graphics are actually kind of weird. The more I look at this, they're like Minecrafty and like unfinished.
When you see it in action, it is a little bit better just because you can easily determine outlines of characters and people, giving you better target acquisition, which is usually a thing for a lot of people in those shooters.
Yeah. It's a unique. Have you ever seen an art style like that before?
Probably in like some weird indie games. It doesn't look like super brand new, but it looks different.
It's kind of like an indie, an artist kind of just like a smaller artist came up with it. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff.
I know where you're going, but it's not quite that.
Yeah. It's I mean, look, they have it dated for September. Originally, it was the same day as Borderlands 4, but Borderlands 4 got moved up, I believe, a week or so. So now it's kind of coming out on its own at the end of September. At least that's what we think. Okay. So as we're going through this, some word came out that they had plagiarized a lot of the art style and just artwork in general from a person called Anti-Real.
It's less the style. If you look in the background while you're watching the trailer and you see posters, fonts, text, things like that, they're almost directly pulled from this person.
So people then started going through this person's profile and like their art stuff. And they start realizing, wow, this person's really into that exact same kind of art style, but these things were posted from 2017, 2016.
Oh my God. And
then they find out that some of the people from the art team at Marathon were following them on Twitter X. And then they admitted that, a lot of that stuff, or a lot of stuff from their profile, specifically they had like lettering, and they had even a Meet the Lost meme apparently made its way into Marathon from their portfolio, and it was basically the point where they had almost signed their name and they pulled that from it too. So now there is a huge thing around this game with the art style that is like the one unique thing that people brought up, as you did, how much that's inspired from a small creator that they decided to lift from.
Well, the thing is with inspiration, I mean, on one hand, it's like not as bad, because if it was, every single anime game that ever came out is obviously stealing from anime, but like that's not a real thing. It's not a concept. But like there's no direct character designs. The main thing is like the fonts, a lot of the shapes they use in their minimalist posters, the logo that they created, all that stuff. That's just in there, unchanged.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they just hire this guy? Like,
so on top of this, we got word, and this is once again from Colin Moriarty with Sacred Symbols and everything. Again, that'll be live on Monday, or you can check it out over on their Patreon. That apparently their marketing, specifically from, I guess this seems, so Sony owns Bungie, who is making Marathon. Bungie's been acting more independently since they were purchased by Sony, but it seems like the leash is getting shorter and shorter, as they even pulled the incubation project Gummy Bears away from Bungie into Sony. And I think they took some people from Bungie and also moved them within Sony, maybe to just be able to have a better or keep a better eye on them. Well, now the report is that their marketing plans, all paid marketing plans for Marathon, has been canceled.
I mean, how many marketing losses have they taken up to this point?
Well, this reportedly came from someone familiar with the marketing efforts in overseas market, and is considered a fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. Saying, "quote, I was told by someone familiar with marketing plans in a key overseas market, there are now no plans to do paid marketing for Marathon at all," which has brought into question if this game is coming out. Like, some are wondering, is it delayed or is it just canceled? I gotta be real. I don't know if you can cancel the game outright. I mean, they can.
No, they can.
They can.
It's just
I don't know what you do with the delay. What's the delay going to do?
Well, what you do with it is, what they should do with it at this point. You take everything you've made up till now and then just reassess it into something else. Oh, there goes Josie. Because that's kind of been like, you hear stories about games like how Overwatch came to be. It was supposed to be something else completely. They had a ton of stuff pre-made for it, ton of interesting ideas. And then one day they were just like, maybe it'll work as a hero shooter instead. So even though we didn't get to see that, and we're seeing Marathon now, I don't know if that necessarily ruins their ability to go, maybe we make a boomer shooter instead or something. Like, just
I don't even know
try
if you can
something
change
different.
I think it has to. They already kind of described it as an extraction shooter. They've developed the entire game as an extraction shooter, and now they have this whole thing. That live stream was bad. That was ugly looking.
No, yeah,
that was bad.
But I mean, this game coming out as an extraction shooter makes a chunk of your community go, well, that's not Marathon. Why are you calling it Marathon then? Then the other chunks looking at it like, I don't know. All I know is that extraction shooters are really difficult to wrap your head around, knowing where to go, what to find, how to get there, how to get out, what you're supposed to be doing. So maybe I don't want to play it. And then you got content creators who are like, I've got 1 million hours in Tarkov. I don't know if I want to move over. It's just one of those things. It's not in a good spot.
Pulling people away from these live service games is almost impossible, man. And Captain Crunch brings up a good point. Maybe they are going free to play. I don't even know if that's going to do it.
No, I don't think it would.
I don't know, because you're right. In my mind, it's why would you leave the other free-to-play game to come play this free-to-play game? Other than maybe there's a surge at launch, people try it, and then they die after a few hours, lose their stuff, and just go, I'm going back to Fortnite. I'm going back to Tarkov or whatever, right? I don't need to play this, really. I'll go back. I think this this plagiarism thing is, I think it's going to hang over them for a while. It's going to be tough. This isn't the first time. This is like the 3rd or 4th strike, I think, on Bungie now. And Destiny can overcome it because they already have the player base. A Marathon doesn't. They don't have that yet. They show up and it's $40.
They almost angered their player base with, I think, the second to last expansion. Like, it pissed a lot of people off or something. There was something bad that happened recently over there. They added like the new ability and everyone was kind of annoyed with it balance-wise.
This is tough. So on one hand, if you bring the game out, you can't just push the game out and then move on because it's a live service game. You put the game out, now you have to start more development to support it. It's just going to be an ongoing thing and you have to live with it going forward. So it's not a situation of, oh, we have this game that isn't necessarily a live service title. We can push it out and move on. It's like, no, we push this thing out. We're tied to the hip with it for a while. And that's what Bungie's going to be doing for the next so many years. I mean, look, Destiny 2 is still going. Yeah. When that came out, what was that? 2017, 2018, something like that. And it's still going, man. Marathon's kind of stuck in that weird in-between period. It might be the plan to Concord this thing. And that sounds bad because I hate saying it, people want to say every live service game that looks bad comes up is Concord again. This might actually be the situation of it. Sony might say it's better to see it as a loss, and rather than release it and then pull it back like they did Concord, it doesn't get out of the gate.
I mean, that's why they cut it. I remember Concord leading up to release. I think I saw a commercial every 2 minutes watching Twitch and going on YouTube, and God, they went ham trying to get people to buy that game. Now with Marathon, they're just like, it's not.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then if this game doesn't come out and it gets canceled, what happens to Bungie? Because I kind of feel like that might be it for Bungie, man. That's crazy to say, but what else do they do?
$4 billion purchase? That's it for Bungie?
I know. That is crazy, isn't it?
No, it's done for Bungie, but they get moved to other studios. They just get put in other places.
Yeah, because they took gummy bears from them, so it's not like they're working on that.
They're just gonna put them on something safe, just like, yo, you guys make another expansion for Destiny or something. I don't know.
Maybe LFG found a new tank and healer. They can apply to that group.
I mean, LFG got formed within Sony from Bungie, basically. So.
Yeah, they're just gonna do them like they did. No, they can't do them like they did. Then what's it called? The Prince of Persia, the one that worked on that, the 2D one. I forgot.
Oh yeah, where they're working on Rayman now.
They're working on Rayman. Some of them went to other projects. So yeah, they can't do that. They can't do that. But I'm just saying, like, they'll probably just put them on some. Well, they could. I don't think they're Bungie's way bigger. Like, I don't think the optics are gonna be terrible. If Bungie, they just like,
it's gonna be ugly.
It'd be really bad if they just did it. But then again, the optics for Concord were terrible too, and that thing got
studio's gone. They bought that studio, Firewalk, and they got rid of that studio. They cut that studio down completely.
Bungie has more prestige though, so it'd be bigger. It'd be way bigger because they didn't buy them for $4 billion. So
I almost wonder if Bungie will they'll do. I assume you'd hear about layoffs or them maybe absorbing large portions of Bungie, and then maybe they really do just kind of shut Bungie down. That's crazy to think about.
Okay, so if they're saving face, they don't close down Bungie, but everyone from Bungie just gets sent to places to fill in gaps for development, and they're just still the Bungie person, but now they're working for other people, and then we'll go back to Bungie, and it's just like
maybe they'll do them like they did Rare for a bit before Rare actually had like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
where Rare was just like it was just, we're just here, ain't really doing nothing. I mean, they had the Connected Venture thingy, and then that was like their only big success, right? Until Sea of Thieves really got. Is it Sea of Thieves, right? Am I saying that right? That's the game, right?
Yeah, Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
Sea of Thieves. Yeah, yep.
Keep on messing.
Yeah, that's been rolling for Rare. That's basically Rare's main game.
That's their main thing.
But there was a Disney to pop in there. That was crazy.
Yeah, there was a rough patch though. There was a rough patch in between that,
Gene's got a point. Yeah, Firewalk did have a lot of former Bungie staff. I don't know what the deal is with Bungie now, because although I think of a different Bungie, I think with the original Halo games, like Halo 1 through 3. I know Reach is in there too, but like 1 through 3 were like classic multiplayer first person shooter games on console, obviously being the big one. But they had Halo on PC as well, but I know PC was like Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six and Battlefield, but Halo was a big thing back then. And it's just Bungie has changed so much. And man, Destiny, I just don't know how they didn't develop Destiny 3. That is the craziest thing to me, is that they didn't think to do that, or just a Destiny game that didn't have a number on the end. But the more, I did think about it. I thought about looking at Destiny 2 again, Evan. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just check this out, because all the talk about Bungie, let me see what's going on in Destiny 2. I have no idea where to start with this thing because apparently they remove content from game.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, they go like a vault or something.
Planets are gone. Whole planets, whole maps.
Yo, we out here. Let's remove the content from the game. Yo,
I don't.
So even if you bought the game, you
understand.
can't access that content. Like even if like you bought like a physical disc.
No, because you got to connect to the server, and it's going to update, and it's going to give you the new tutorial and all the new stuff.
That's awesome. Like,
So-
I'm being sarcastic, but yeah, that's awesome.
I'm confused. I'm trying to figure out why they would have done it. Some are saying it was because of like storage space.
Storage space, because on the consoles, it was getting to critical mass for like the older consoles.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, we're sitting in a world where Call of Duty is like 300 some odd gigabytes, something crazy.
Hey guys, we're just gonna remove this shit because like that just sounds so funny.
I mean, I'll see like I've seen this brought up a lot by Destiny fans right now. People who cover it a lot, like Paul Tassi covers it all the time. I'll just see his tweets randomly pop up in the timeline, and he's like, "I don't even know where I'd start if I was jumping into Destiny." I'm like, "Well, he's been playing it forever, so why would I start now?" It's this weird situation that Bungie's in. Marathon is in trouble. Destiny 2 is like
reboot it
right now.
That's what they do, man. What you do is reboot it. Start over.
I don't know if that saves them.
Destiny 3, Destiny Unbound.
Now you leave your company, you start a new company, and you hope everyone is so tied up with company names that they don't notice you left and started a new company and then try something new.
You gotta do that.
No, this is literally what happens. Like there's so many companies right now from all the ex Bungie employees that left when things were getting weird, and I know no one has any clue who's in what company. Like there's very few people who care enough to know about how that's happening over there. But like, I don't know, man. With Bungie, they got their independence from Xbox, had that interview where they were like, we can finally move away from Halo and show people what we're made of. And then they made Halo the MMO. So
I thought about it. Maybe Marathon should have just been, because they already have their big live service game. Maybe Marathon should have just been what it was when it first started out. It should have been an interesting single player game.
Yeah, just make it a boomer shooter.
Yeah, it doesn't have to, that, or it doesn't have to be some expansive live. You already have a live service game. It's like, why do these companies want to have multiple live service games when we already have a limited pool of players that we've realized is not exactly growing exponentially, and everyone there has limited time? It's like, what?
Man.
Okay.
And you're getting like, you gotta, when it comes to being a shooter, you gotta compete with the tops of the top dogs, right? You gotta compete with the Fortnites, and you gotta compete with those games that are still, I don't know if PUBG's still going, but if that game's still going,
it is going. We're in a
you gotta
world where
compete with
Rainbow
all
Six.
those.
You remember back in the day, Rainbow Six used to come out like every other year.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just making up names to put on the end of it to release another version of it.
We have
back
not
in the
had a
day.
new Rainbow Six Siege has been around for like a decade. I think that game's a decade.
They just
old.
released their roadmap. It's called the
Yeah.
10-year roadmap, I think, because in next year,
Lord have
10
mercy.
years, that game's been going.
Yeah, I remember we used to get multiple. I have a bunch of Rainbow Six Vegas. Vegas was great. I love that game.
Yeah, I mean, one year, I think there were like three Ghost Recon games that came out and 2 Rainbow Six games all in the same year on different platforms. It was crazy back then. Now it's like, it's going to run for 10 years. Like, wow.
That's too long. I like Rainbow Six Siege as a game to watch. Like, I think it's a fun, competitive game. But damn, 10 years, bro. Like,
Isn't that crazy?
They've
That's
not
too
added enough new maps to it for 10 years. That's crazy.
like that. I mean, I stopped watching it like a while because I know Silent used to play it. I don't know if he plays it anymore.
He picks it up once in a while, yells about it a bunch, complains that they still haven't added solo matchmaking, and then uninstalls it.
That's why I stopped, because he was getting so salty. So I stopped watching, because like I like to watch him when he actually.
He gets crazy with it.
He gets so pissed when he plays. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch him play it anymore because he gets so mad.
Evan, did you see the Battlefield gameplay that was posted?
Haven't seen the gameplay yet, but I keep hearing
the person
about it from some of
posted
the
it.
people
It was
I
like
watch.
it was like an hour and a half long. It got cut down. It got copyright struck. It's
No,
gone.
yeah, because they're not at all supposed to, but yeah.
No, they were not supposed to show it. But they just streamed themselves playing it and just left it. It's like, okay, great. You know what? I was getting some Bad Company 2 vibes. Just looking at it.
I'd have to look at it because
they blew up a building, Evan.
Yeah, but that's just blowing up a building. Honestly, the thing that made Bad Company 2 great was that they weren't aiming for hundreds of people playing on a single server. Because that's when you get the weird tick over rates and, you know, weird bullet lag where you're shooting and it's not hitting the things you're supposed to be hitting and just bad hit reg. That's just an issue of servers. But like Bad Company 2 was so good because it was technically a small scale battlefield and it worked and it was
technically
awesome.
It was, yeah, you're right, but I mean the destruction looked good from what I was seeing. The weapons sounded pretty good. They had some punch to them. It's all going to come down to the feel though. Like that's the thing. You can watch people play it, but you actually have to sit down, mouse and keyboard, controller in hand, whatever, and see how everything is with the bullet drop and
movement, shooting, and game flow. Game flow is huge. If it feels crappy.
I was very happy to see the destruction though. Like they rolled up to a building and just shot the side of it out and kept going. And that was it. I was like, oh wow, cool. And I saw a couple of buildings just crumble in on itself. So if people are camping, just blow up the building around them. So that's I like what I was seeing, at least from that limited look. And again, it was through streaming, so compression and like visually speaking, it's hard to really get a gauge on it. But the marketing they've shown, it looks good visually. So they're showing you the best version though. But I'm excited for it's coming out before the end of their fiscal year is what they said. I think they try to get it out before GTA 6. So I'm thinking maybe March for Battlefield.
Maybe. It's a different enough game from GTA 6 where as long as there's at least a little bit of time, I don't think it'll matter that much.
You checking for Battlefield then?
Maybe. I'll see what it looks like.
Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm hoping they can make a bit of a revival after what they did with 2042 is just not a great start for it. And I think it got better, but it was too late.
It got better. They never fulfilled their vision though. It was supposed to be the everything Battlefield. They had Bad Company 2 in it. They had a lot of the guns, they had a lot of the maps. They're like, we'll finish that out. They never did. So, oh well.
Let's see, Nintendo Direct rumors. I don't think anyone's surprised that there's a Direct in June, most likely. I think many people probably penciled in like you'd expect. This came from PH Brazil during his live stream that they believe that there is a Direct happening either the same week that the Switch 2 releases or the following week. I'll tell you now, I'd be shocked if they did a Direct during the Switch 2 release, because that Switch 2 is out either Wednesday night or Thursday, depending on when you're picking it up or it's shipping in or whatever, right? So I don't know if it would be a Direct on either of those days, Wednesday or Thursday, even Tuesday. There's so much marketing and interest and press around the system launching, and it's a mad scramble because we know that a lot of press and outlets aren't getting the system until day one, like until the system comes out. So even running up to that point, not as much coverage, but then just a flood of coverage as soon as June 5th hits. So I'm kind of writing that off. I don't know, OJ, you think there's any potential for there being a Direct on the week that the system drops?
PH Brazil got cooked last time he told us on this. He said, oh, February. No, wasn't February. So I'm a little bit, like I said, because he got it wrong last time. So I'm a little bit like, nah, I don't know. I mean, they could do it, but I'm just not sure, to be honest.
I'm thinking, I mean, the week after I get, after we get the Switch 2 release, because remember that weekend, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to have all kinds of Microsoft Xbox stuff hitting, which they might even announce. They might put Switch 2 logos in their own presentation for all we know right now. But I'm kind of thinking I was looking at maybe like this 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there, like that Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So not even the week after the Switch 2, but the week after that. I don't know if the last full week in the month would be it, because they have their annual gathering of the shareholders that week. And I feel like they're going to be quite focused on that. But they would also want to go into that maybe with their own big presentation to set up the generation. Because that's the thing. This should be a Direct that follows the system's release. That probably wouldn't be that situation of, hey, tune in and see what we have for the next 6 months or something. I think this is where they go, here's a game that's out in a few years as well on top of that. So what do you think would be at a Direct like this, OJ?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if they do anything super far out. I went back and I looked at some of the previous Directs, and they usually try to have stuff somewhat within a time frame, unless it ended up getting delayed, like a Fire Emblem or something like that. But what I would guess is that they would probably date all the stuff that was for later in the year, because we still need dates for like some of the big third-party games like Borderlands, or like because I don't think Borderlands is coming out at the same time as the Xbox and PlayStation version, or like Final Fantasy VII Remake
versions later.
Yeah, like we still need a date for Metroid Prime 4. We still need a date for Kirby Air Riders. We still need a date for Hyrule Warriors. We still need maybe
Legends
Metroid
EA.
Prime. Yeah, Metroid Prime. That still needs Metroid Prime 2 and 3. Like that's probably coming in some form. Maybe there's Hunters. Maybe there's something else. So they still have that. There's probably still remasters that they just have as well that they can just drop at some point, right? Like just remasters of games that have been rumored beforehand as well. So like that Fire Emblem, what's it called game? Fire Emblem 4 remake that's just been rumored for forever. So something like that could actually like drop sometime this year as well. So I think it would be more like that. And then I think the next direct, that would be the one where it's going to be like, you're going to see stuff for next year. That's usually what they do. Like the following year, maybe even a little bit more out, but I'm not really sure what would it be. But that'd be my guess in terms of what they show. Fire Emblem, Metroid, some remasters, some other stuff, and maybe like a surprise, like third-party game here or there. Maybe some smaller stuff, like there's like Hotel Dusk rumors. So maybe some smaller stuff from third-party developers as well. Like Japanese developers are definitely working on a bunch of stuff, for Switch 2. So that would be my guess for this one.
I think there's still going to be some Switch 1 games though. Like I don't say a ton of them, but definitely a number of them. Like that, I wouldn't be shocked at that Fire Emblem remake that thing's been kicked around for what, like 2 years now or so. It's been talked about for a little while. Wouldn't shock me if it popped up with like a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 logo in the end card slide, and maybe we'll see that a fair amount, where there's a Switch 1 version, but then there's also a Switch 2 version that just looks and runs better, that whole thing. So I wouldn't be shocked that. I also wonder if there are plans for Nintendo, because now with the Switch 2, we're hearing about the production where Nintendo is just trying to get assembly factory set up, apparently even with Samsung now. I almost wonder if they look to revise down the current Switch 1 lineup, and they hit us with that 2DS XL move, where it's like, here's a Switch that's maybe a little more expensive than the Switch Lite, not as expensive as the Redbox Switch, like $250. It still docks, does everything, and that's going to be like our main one going forward, maybe with the Switch Lite right below it, and just work to get rid of the OLED in the Redbox and have like one newer quote-unquote Switch 1 unit.
Yeah. Definitely seems like they could do something like that. They probably still have that, like the manufacturing units, like, or like the chips and all that type of stuff. They probably still have quite a number of those left, so they have to get those sold some way,
I'm also trying to figure out, what do you think the holiday game is for Nintendo? Do you think we know it already, or do you think there's something waiting in the wings right now they're ready to spring on everyone?
If anything, it's Fire Emblem would be out later in the year if they want to do that. But I mean, I think Pokemon would be the game that would just, because I think it would remind me of, like, I think it was, what was it? I forgot what year it was. Was it 2021 or 2022? They had Pokemon and they had something else. I think SMT, or no, Metroid and like SMT in 2021.
Metroid Dread.
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be anything out. I don't think there's going to be anything massive, like here's a 3D Mario. Like I don't think they do something like that. So I think it's just going to be Pokemon Legends EA, and it's going to be probably like Hyrule Warriors if they can get Hyrule Warriors out. It's winter, so maybe that could go to maybe early next year's, but we don't know. But probably Hyrule Warriors, Metroid, and then we'll see where Metroid kind of falls in line. I don't think it'll be
Metroid's interesting. I'm trying to figure. It's been so long for this Metroid Prime game. 2017. It was a few months after the Switch 1 got revealed or released. I'm sorry, it was released, and we're still waiting. We're still talking about it coming out. So I'd like to think that's sooner rather than later, but you feel like the earliest it would even come out now is August, since July is already accounted for.
I'm thinking like August or September. I know Kirby, the Kirby and Forgotten Lands plus Star Cross Worlds, that comes out in September, I think. But that's obviously a Switch 1 game, Nintendo Switch 2 edition of a Switch 1 game. So I don't think they'd mind doubling up in that sense. So yeah, I definitely think it's like a late summer, early fall type of game for Metroid, and maybe they do shadow drop, for Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3 at some point, like, or not shadow drop, but like they just announce those. Hey, those are going to be out maybe, I don't know, July or something,
September for Metroid.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes
that would
sense.
Yeah, I can see September. Man, if that thing's like November, I'm be like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I don't know because I think
it looks awesome. Like I'm ready to play that game.
Yeah, I think Pokemon's November, so I think they're gonna. Metroid Dread looks done. It looks done. It looks polished. And
they played it for a good bit during the treehouse.
Yeah,
let's get this game out there.
It looks great. It looks great on. It looks good from what they showed on Switch 1. You can play it on there, but if you want like the actual full experience, obviously Switch 2 version is going to be the one to get. But yeah, it looks really good. So I think they're really I think they're trying to tie in the marketing with Metroid Prime 2 and 3. I think that's really what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean it should be a pretty big direct, I assume, for them. Again, following up the Switch 2 release, very similar back in 2017 when they had that E3 one that was again pretty big. People lost their mind over a lot of stuff in that in that direct. So I was thinking about, you mentioned that 3D Mario game, and it's interesting to think if they don't have one for this holiday, which I mean, look, it's most likely they wouldn't at this point, but you never know, they could surprise us. It would be 2017 to 2025. So 8 years. We'd be going on year 9 since the last big 3D Mario game, which is crazy to think about that.
Yeah, that's definitely crazy. A big gap. I think they're going to announce the next big. That might be like the one more thing at the fall direct. I think it's going to be maybe like a May. Yeah. Then it'll come out early. It'll come out first half of next year. That's like the next big thing would be the next big Mario game, 3D Mario game for early next year. That's my guess. Then it could surprise us and drop that this year, but I don't think so. I don't think so. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious if they have like a one more thing for like say the direct in June that is something that's not necessarily like when they did the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and that took like 3 years after they made that announcement for Tears of the Kingdom to come out.
Yeah.
Just something like that. I wonder if they do, like, it could even be a Monolith solver, like, yo, check this
out.
Yeah,
we talked about Monolith in terms of what they do. I went back and I analyzed, which could be completely nothing, but I went back and looked at the announcements for Monolith. Monolith has had a big presence at Nintendo Directs for One More Things all the time. Since 2013, they've literally been the one more thing. I counted 3 times. Wii U 2013. I counted another time in 2019 for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and then another time, one more thing. Oh God, what was it? I might have missed one, but anyway, they've been multiple times. It's been more than 2 times or more that they've been the one more thing, Monolith Soft. So it's definitely possible for Monolith Soft to be that either with this June, right? If there's a direct there or July or whatever, or probably later in the year, so it's definitely possible because they've been the one more thing at least, twice now. It's hard to be the one more thing game, right? Like it's almost like the one more thing game is always something like major, right? It's always like a big game. But Monolith Soft has been it twice now at this point. So yeah. So we'll
That's
see what
a good
happens.
point that the Mario's 40th anniversary technically is happening in a few months. So maybe they do have a little celebration thing ready to go. Maybe there is a Mario Galaxy 2 version out there somewhere.
Nintendo Switch 2 edition Mario Galaxy 2. That'd be interesting.
Available for 4 months. There you go.
They outdo their time half. They do half the time, 3 months instead of 6.
That'd be kind of cool though if they did like a legit. How would people feel about that? I know we're talking about like a new 3D Mario game. How would people feel about like a full-on Mario Galaxy 2 remake?
I would love it. That game is incredible. And the only issue with that game is the controls. Is like some of the controls, not all the controls, but some of the controls. Like with the Wii Remote, there's some annoying things, but whatever. At the time that you played it, it was okay. But I mean, not in today, it might be a little like, give me some options, to play it in like just regular controller and all that. So yeah, but a full remake, like a full, like actually uses the hardware power, that would be nuts.
Ray tracing, 4K.
Oh my God, I would love that. Mario Galaxy 2. I 100%ed Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I don't usually 100% platforming games just because they're annoying as hell to 100%. But like I'm 100% of both of those games back in the day on the Wii, and it was even more annoying because of the Wii Remote. So like to even like get through some of those levels. So
it seems like something they could be like, hey, this is for the 40th anniversary. We're gonna do this full remake. It'll be on a cartridge, the whole thing. Like we're gonna do this whole thing. I feel like people would be excited for it, even though I know the remake conversation comes up a lot. It's like, oh, here's another remake, but that is a game, as you mentioned, on the Wii. I mean, look, on the Wii it was like 480p PSP and like the Wii remote and the nunchuck, and you can use like classic controller stuff. Sure, I get it, but like
no, I don't think you can.
There were some oddities with that.
I don't think they didn't support.
Oh no, you just had the Wii remote and the
just Wii remote and nunchuck. That's it.
There were some oddities back then though with that thing to where it's like, what if they could like remake and move some of the controls over to just a standard setup? And I don't know, something to think about. That'd be an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'd be down. I am down if they do it. I don't know if they will, but if they do, I am there.
Mario Paint 2, I like it. There it is. That's the 40th anniversary. Mario Paint 2. I like it.
There you go. I'd be down. I played Mario Paint back in the day. It was fun. The Fly Swatter game, goated.
Okay. Why not? Why not? Let me go over to some of the super chats here. Casual Noobs Gamer says, if you ever need me, I can come on, John. I got you. Thanks, Casual Noob. It's your boy says, shout out to y'all. Shout out to It's Your Boy 14.
Shout out to Ralphie.
Nate says, art style over visual fidelity. Art style is generally more striking and will age better. I'd agree.
Yeah.
You got to match the two, though. Sometimes you get weird combos.
Yeah, but there are games we look back on that I swear when they came out, we thought they looked incredible. There's no way they're ever going to look better than this. Now we look back and we're like, ooh.
All the tricks and things they pulled in Shadow of the Colossus to make that game look like it did on PS2.
It looks like kind of trash. Yeah. But the remake looks fantastic, though.
Oh, yeah.
But like the art style thing, when it comes to, it's funny because like we talk about Wind Waker all the time. That was destroyed when it was coming out. People hated the way it looked, and it was like we just saw this tech demo for Link and Ganon fighting each other, and it looked super realistic, and they show us this, and now people look back on that art style like this still looks good.
My brother like blamed me for that. I remember he was so angry. He was like, it's your fault. Like legitimately people were, and I know it sounds weird, but I'm telling you, man, Zelda fans back then, they were going nuts. They were blaming anybody. Like, it don't matter who it was. It's your fault. My brother blamed me. He said it was my fault for it. I'm like, what the hell are you
called you out?
He called me out as if I did some shit. That's how angry he was, man, about that art style.
Attack the Backlog says, Beautiful Joe on GameCube. Shout out to y'all. Hideki Kamiya did mention Beautiful Joe. He said he wouldn't mind working on a new one. Put it out there. Although he needs to get the new Okami out. Let's focus on that first.
He needs to get that out. But I mean, Beautiful Joe 1 and 2 backwards or on the GameCube NSO, that would be perfect. Those games play. I actually streamed it. I think last year I streamed it or something like that. They're incredible. They're 60 frames. It's just like a modern day, like if you play like Streets of Rage or something, that's what Beautiful Joe is. It's just like a side-scrolling beat 'em up type game with a lot of sauce, a lot of style. It's fantastic. So if they ever put out Beautiful Joe on the NSO, you guys check that out because it's so good. Or if you want to buy the games, they're not too bad on price. If you want to just play them on GameCube, they're still really fun to play.
I'd agree. Ashoka says, this is for player essence. I hope Monolith Soft is making 2 Switch 2 games. I want a Xenoblade Chronicles 4 and a new JRPG IP from them.
They are making 1 game.
I would like a new IP from them. I think a new IP would be really cool.
They are making 1 big game. That's what they're doing. They're making 1 big game, and that game, they don't quite have the resources to make 2 big games. You got to remember, most of the Monolith Soft, they're split up into development resource teams for Nintendo's big games. So those people are working on Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, and then they have 1 team that just works on the big games. But they have 299, about 300 employees, and so not all of them are working on multiple games. Like in terms of multiple, like their own games, it's like one Takashi team, one that's working on like the big game, like 100 people or something like that, right? So it's not like they have everybody that works at Monolith Soft all working on multiple games or all working on multiple like big RPGs. They have stuff that they're working on for Nintendo, So you also got to keep that in mind. They don't have the team size to be creating like multiple different big RPGs plus helping out Nintendo on all the other games as well. So expect 1 new game from them. Expect 1 big new game from them. Maybe something smaller, maybe like a smaller thing, but they like to do the big game, then they like to do like the DLC because that takes the time to do that. So you do the big game, and then like, a year later, you usually have or 6 months to a year later, then you usually have DLC that drops for the game. And that takes up a lot of time and their resources. So
I think it's new IP. Brand new?
I think it could be a new IP, but it could be connected to the Xenoblade. So it's like Xenoblade's a new IP, but it's like connected to Xenosaga, So
I like the idea. of
like
what looks like a new IP, but then one of the big twists at the end is that it is connected to like their Xenoblade or Xenosaga or something like that.
That's what I'm guessing they would do, something like that. If it just new gameplay, right? Don't have the same game like Xenoblade gameplay. Try some, maybe it's a turn-based RPG, maybe it's something different, but then somehow connected. Or even if it's called Xenoblade, it's called Xenoblade something else. It's not numbered, but then like the game is completely different. Obviously, you're not using Shulk or Rex or the characters, and it's a completely different world, different whatever, but it still has the same name, you know? So I mean, it could be something like that too.
Soil Texas, when do you think when do you think we'll get the next Fire Emblem? I think the next Fire Emblem is probably out later this year.
I'm hoping more sooner than later because everyone's calling me a fraud and a bump for the whole Fire Emblem.
I think it'll be one of those things where we hear about it and then it's out in like 2 or 3 months is kind of what I'm expecting.
The worst thing that I got with that, let me tell you this true story. The worst thing is go pick up my daughter. One of the kids, hey man, when's Fire Emblem coming? You've been talking about it for a while. I'm like, what the?
Hey. I'll give them credit. They called you out in person.
I'm getting heckled by a kid about Fire Emblem. I'm like, bro, who's letting you play Fire Emblem?
Hey, but no, kid didn't put it on a keyboard or nothing. He showed up and was like, hey.
I'm just like, what? I'm like, listen, man, it's coming.
There's Gingerbread again. Shout out to them. And Zoop says, unlike most corpo CEO, Strauss is smarter than the median citizen. Do you think he'll make Borderlands into an $80 game? I kind of think it's 70. And again, in a way, it's been played up now to where that'll be relieving for people to hear, which is incredible. Like, I don't think it was on purpose by Randy, but if this was a marketing ploy to be like, watch this, I'll get them to be happy about 70 by doing this, then hey, that's off to him. Don't think that was the case though. Casual Noob Gamer says, what about when early access doesn't work on launch? That's pretty bad. Now, what happened with Star Wars Outlaws was really bad because if you had early access for that game, some save files on the PS5 got corrupted because of an update. So you would have lost the entirety of your save file and progress that you made during early access. And that was a whole thing. So yeah, whether it's a game that, gets launched in early access that you pay for and it doesn't work, not great. But if it deletes your entire save file, that feels kind of worse, actually. It's like you felt like you did something and then they just completely delete it. So
there were a lot of them that were online only, and then like for the first 3 days the servers just didn't work, so you couldn't even play it. You just bought it and just sat around.
It's probably not a great example because it's free to play right now. Splitgate 2 that came up and I was like, let me try this thing out. And I get in, I start it up, and the shooting feels pretty good in the training, and then it just cannot find a match. The thing shuts down, and then I look over on X, and the head of the studio is apologizing in a video. I'm like, oh, all right, well, I guess I'm not playing this tonight. So, yeah. Casual Gamer says, Josie has that Amish camera. Hey. Croto says, I like when you guys talk about random stuff like sports or just stories. Reminds me of I like Scared Symbols, Sacred Symbols podcast. Also keep up the good work, guys. Yes, sometimes I kind of go off the rails randomly on that stuff. So as long as I cover the stuff in the title, yeah, the rest is just kind of supporting, and it's like we might end up somehow back in like 1993 or something. I don't know.
Shout out to 1993. That was Nickelodeon Slime. What else were we doing back then?
Oh yeah,
Secret of Mana. There's some good stuff. I think Breath of Fire was coming out.
Legend of Hidden Temple, definitely goated. I think, what was it? Johnny Bravo just started then, or just about to start? Oh yeah. Was that when the cartoon? It's so funny back then. Do you remember it was a big thing? I remember it came up on might have been on like TV Guide or something. It was like, there's going to be an entire channel that's just cartoons. It's called Cartoon Network. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, first was 1997.
Okay, 90. My bad. Okay, so Rugrats was in its prime right there, man. That was 91. 2 years, it was in its prime, man. You went home, Rugrats was lit. Very good show. So yeah, Rugrats. I think All Real Monsters was a little bit after that. I love that show too. All Real Monsters is goated.
When did Cartoon Network like become a thing? When was that?
Yeah,
when did that get formed?
80s, right?
I remember that news.
No, it wasn't
my
80s.
Parents. No, it was in the 90s. I remember my parents told me about it. It's like
92. 92.
Oh, there it is. I was
Nickelodeon before that, and that's all you had. And then Cartoon Network came out of nowhere.
Okay, I was pretty young, but I remember specifically that being a big thing where they were like, "Oh, Cartoon Network is coming up, and it's going to be a whole channel for cartoons." It's like, there's no way.
It blew your mind. I remember it blew my mind.
I was like, "Are they allowed to do that?" I don't know. That sounds crazy to me.
How can you have cartoons all the time? That made no sense.
I don't know. The craziest thing I remember that makes me feel way older than I am, because I know the TV was really old at the time, is the first TV I had in my room. I mean, I was pretty young, and my parents were going to throw it out or something. You could have this and pretend like you have like a TV, because it didn't even have the spot in the back to like put any of the cables, like the yellow, red, and white. You had to.
It was straight coax, so you had to get the separate Radio Shack box.
It was the thing that you screw in.
Yeah, coaxial.
And then you plug it in, right?
Yeah, it was coaxial to Radio Shack.
Funniest thing I remember is on the front, there's the dial that goes from like 0 to 9 just for the channels. Yep. Right below that is color and black and white.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, what is this? And I'm like, looking at him, I was like, oh wow, it's a black and white TV.
Bro, that's what we had, bro. I had this little silver ghetto little like 13-inch TV, and I remember with the and an antenna on it. Like we used to play all of our NES games and watch Cartoon Network and all of that on there. It was man, I was poor as hell, but I didn't know it.
Yeah, I know, right?
I just lived, like I didn't think about it in that type of way. I was like, well, I've got food and a house over or like a roof over my head, so I'm okay.
Yeah,
but
I usually had like
my parents tried.
I was generally like I didn't realize it because you're little, but I was like a generation basically behind with game consoles for the longest time. Like we're well into the Super Nintendo era, and I have the Nintendo, and I'm still playing that. Then I get the Super Nintendo.
No, we weren't that
my cousin. They sell it to me for like $60 with a bunch of games because they got the N64 on launch day, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I have a Super Nintendo now. And then I catch up with the N64 for Christmas with Pokemon Snap and stuff. And that was fine.
Nice,
it was just funny.
My dad, I remember we didn't get the NES like the first one, but I just remember one time he just came home and that ish was there. I remember I woke up and it was just there with Super Mario, and I freaked out when I first saw it. So we did get us a Super Nintendo, but I think the N64 is when we started falling behind. That's when I started falling behind a little bit. I didn't get that at launch. N64 we had to wait, and then by the GameCube I had enough. Like I started working, so I could like make my own money. So it wasn't like a big deal after that. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, we were behind. We had an NES for a hot minute though. The NES for a while. Then the Super Nintendo came like a year or so afterwards, which was cool. It was cool to see Super Mario World. Like I saw the commercials, man. Like all the commercials, and I was like, oh man, I really want this. My dad just brought it home one day. I was happy as hell.
Yeah, they couldn't keep the facade going when we got a computer with the internet and everything. And then I was like this little kid who figures I get online. I'm like, hold on a minute, there's a Nintendo 64, and I'm like learning all about this.
You got online with Net Zero? Did he say, John, get off the internet? I got to make a call.
That was with like Windows 95 back then. Like it was a big deal that you didn't have to use DOS to like do anything, and it was funny. I remember I had to learn how to launch there was a game with the worm and the apple that would fly around. And I had to learn how to launch that without Windows for a while. And eventually we got Windows, and I was like, okay, finally, I can just click on the thing. Yeah. Those are the days, man. That was it. It was like the Stone Age back then.
Did you guys ever play, like, I played a lot of the games, like I never got new games a lot, even in that era. Did you guys ever play like the stuff like the Carmen San Diego, like on the PC, or like Oregon Trail, or like even like the Space Cadet? Remember Space Cadet pinball, stuff like that? Yeah.
I played the original Marathon at my middle school's computer lab. Like that was great.
The original Marathon.
Yeah.
I was one
the
of
introduction of the suit used by Master Chief in that.
I had no idea what Marathon. I never even heard about it. So
Safa asked what year. I got the internet very early because my dad did a lot of web design work for companies way early in like the .com era stuff. So we had 2 phone lines, I remember back in the day, because he had to always be on call. So they ran a line to the house for him. And as like I started discovering all the video game stuff, and I'm like, hold on a minute, they're trying to keep me back in time here. What is this?
They holding out on you.
Like I was like on the Truman Show, realizing what was happening in real time. Hold on a minute.
I remember, I got the internet like 97, like Net Zero, like 97, 90, when they just started mailing it to your house. Remember those? They would just mail it to your house So I had like the disc where they would just put it and like then you can just get on the internet from there, like the forums and the chat rooms and all that stuff was crazy. It was exciting. It was an exciting time period, but it was also frustrating because you knew that it sucked even back then. You knew it was garbage. Like, but there was nothing that you could do. That's just how it was, you know.
It took a while to load anything, like pages, and it just took forever. So those are the old days, man. That was it. Took forever to do anything. Communication was tough. You had to wait till Monday to go back to school and tell everybody what was going on. And those are the old days.
It was bad, but it was like also kind of like there's stuff that I miss about it, you know?
Yeah, it was more calming. It was more quiet. This isn't always a bad thing. Now it's like, man, dude, going to high school now has got to be craziness.
I can't even.
Gosh. Social media.
The stuff that my daughter tells me that happens to some of these kids because of social media. All they're doing is beating the shit out of each other, and not like how we used to. Like they're just you said something to me on Twitter on Facebook, or you said something to me on Twitter, or you said something to me, and I'm like they're fighting, and it just seems like it's just the social media stuff is out of control. Like I'm not gonna try to sit there and say that it's like a crisis, but it's kind of like a crisis. Like the social media stuff is out of control with these kids, man. I can only imagine. Like
we got out of there right time.
When
Facebook started popping up, we're already in college and out of there.
Dude, I'm so glad I didn't have social media like that in high school. Oh my god, it would have been bad.
Yeah, it would have been bad. Nicholas says I'm about to platinum RoboCop, first time platinum a game, and one of the few times I bother with New Game Plus, despite some hiccups. What a game. RoboCop is a very fun game. If you haven't played it, I do recommend it. Definitely a good game. John O. Shout out to John O. Hope everyone is well. Have a happy Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all who have served. Getting married next week. And hey, shout out to John O. Congratulations, man.
Congrats, man.
Getting married. Good stuff. That was awesome. It was awesome.
John, you've been married for like 30 years.
Yeah, right. It's been a long time. Been a minute. Shout out to John O, though. Good to see you around, dude. Good to see you around. Congratulations. Have fun. Hey, have fun next weekend. All right. This will be a good time.
Yeah.
Roger says just pre-order my GameCube controller.
Oh, I was able to get one too.
People are getting through to it now.
Yeah, just available. I saw who was it? John Randall. He posted it. Yeah. Jake, not John Randall. Jake. What the hell am I talking about? Saw Jake, he posted it.
Jake Randall. Yep.
Jake. And I just got it. It was easy. It was super easy to get.
Super Christian Me World says OJ is a simple man. He hears Marathon, he sleeps. Quest for Glory Gamer says BioWare will probably be shut down if they get another dud. Anthem and Dragon Age: The Veilguard did not meet sales expectations. They're definitely on the hot seat right now with Mass Effect. So I better get that one right, or you're right. That might be it for BioWare.
5 years. There's been nothing but one fake trailer and some concept art in 5 years. Crazy.
Yep. They brought back a lot of the old people from Mass Effect, so I think they're going to take a shot at it. We'll see.
I really hope they don't do any I
think they drop a trailer and they're like, "This is gonna be the best extraction shooter ever."
I just hope they don't do any. I just don't want them to do any weird.
And it's like, wait a minute, is that my artwork right there? What is this?
They stealing my shit.
I really hope not, man. Dragon Age Inquisition had so many different things that was a problem. You had reviewers in here talking about doing all sorts of weird stuff going on before. I just need all that malarkey to be gone. For those who don't know in the chat, I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. It's like my top 5 franchise.
You got all the achievements.
He even loved Andromeda. He's that into it.
I did not love Andromeda. I did play it and beat it all the way through. And yes, yes, John, I got all the achievements in pretty much every version of Mass Effect, like PS3, Xbox 360. I have it on the Legendary Edition.
The Legendary.
Yes, I got all of them on there. I think one of them's bugged or glitched, but whatever. I did everything. And I really don't want them to mess this one up, man.
They will.
Oh.
Well, they still got to come back with it. I'm thinking they might want to start targeting next-gen systems at this point. I don't think that game's coming out anytime soon.
No. You don't need to target next-gen systems at this point. That's insane.
At this point, they might as well, because it's... Dude, I think that's a 2030 game.
Well, I feel
as
like
crazy as it sounds, it's going to be a long time.
But the way you target it at this point is just to make the game for current generation. And if next-gen's out, you just go, all right, better frame rate, better resolution. Yep. Done.
I mean, I think we're 5 years away from this game still.
What?
I think it's going to be a long time, dude.
Yeah, this is BioWare.
5 years away from this game?
This is BioWare.
I think we're a long time away from it, dude.
That doesn't even make sense. Why would they announce it in 20 or what was it? 5 years ago?
They gave you that trailer forever ago, right?
Why would they not? But it's not. But it's 10 years out. That makes no sense.
Probably to turn some funding, get some investors in there. I mean,
they announced that they were kind of starting up, like kind of from scratch. It sounded like they just brought people in. I think it's gonna be a minute.
Wasn't the general story about it that they were like, we're gonna do it, but then that's when like all the LinkedIn things popped up where they were like, we need people.
Yeah, they've been hiring a lot. They brought back a lot of the older people very recently to get moving on it. I think you're gonna be waiting a while, unfortunately, OJ. But it could be a cross-gen game. I shouldn't say it's next gen absolutely, but they might as well have.
That's why you said next gen systems. I was wondering what the hell did you say next gen systems for?
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit, man. I feel like that, especially if it is that situation of if you get this wrong, it's shut down. I feel like they're gonna be kind of cautious about it and be like, let's get this right.
This is me reevaluating my life right now, by the way. Yep. What's happening with this game? I didn't know that part that you guys are telling me right now.
Yeah, we're gonna be dead and gone by the time this game comes out. That'd be great.
it's gonna be a while. So
you're not helping, Evan.
It's gonna make 3 million sales. Everyone's gonna be like, wow, 3 million, but then no one's gonna realize it took 10 years to make, and it's just no one cared.
AJ says Bungie should be forced to merge with Naughty Dog, restart development for Last of Us factions, support it for all eternity. That's the other thing. That's the other reason people are so annoyed at the Bungie stuff, is because they kind of convinced Naughty Dog to step away from that Last of Us Online stuff, or at least put a word in like, maybe not. And now here comes Marathon. It's like, Mitch says, what was the last game Jade Raymond actually shipped? Assassin's Creed. Also, is OJ coming to too many games this year?
Maybe.
OJ might be. We will see.
Maybe.
The last game that Jade Raymond actually shipped, Watch Dogs?
Feels like a Google question.
Or no, like a goat. What was it? It was like a game from like 2017.
This is where we find out it's like a cell phone game none of us heard about.
She was on Battlefront 2. She was a general manager on that. She was an executive producer on the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. I assume most people are thinking about, okay, what's the last really big game that she made, or at least was part of? She was managing director for Far Cry 4 and Assassin's Creed Unity. Those came out in 2014, as well as Watch Dogs. She was an executive producer on that. She did a lot of work at Ubisoft. Most of the games you're thinking about from that mid, like 2010 to 2020, somewhere in there, she had a part in for a lot of those big games. But hasn't really done a lot since then. So,
well, made bank since then. That's about it.
Well, yeah, absolutely she has. Z says Expedition 33 or Metaphor Refantasio.
Yeah.
What do you think, OJ?
Oh man, I put now 67 hours on hard mode. I've beaten most of the stuff. There are clear things that Expedition 33 does better, in my opinion.
We might have to do that spoiler cast.
Yeah, we got it. I don't know if you saw my message, but yeah, I messaged you about that. But
oh no, I didn't have to see that.
Yeah. I just said whenever you want to do it.
You know. All my DMs disappeared.
Yeah, that's what I figured, because you're usually really quick with DMs. But yeah, anyway, whenever you want to do that, I'm good. But yeah, the funny thing is that, like, and I hate to give like a non-answer with this, but like, there's really, like, when it comes to hardcore turn-based RPG player, there's really things that Expedition does really well and better. Then there's things that Metaphor, in terms of an RPG, does significantly better than Expedition 33 overall, especially like with some of the combat stuff that you can do in Metaphor, and some of the amount of variety. Expedition lets you break the game, which is awesome, and it's a lot of fun. To do stuff like that, but sometimes there's a little bit of lack in terms of like the characters. I mean, the characters are good, but it doesn't have quite the variety that you can get in like a game with different archetypes and stuff like that with Fantasio. So it's really hard to compare to say which one. Metaphor also gives you significantly more content, like just way more. So obviously, if you're someone that likes more content, then Metaphor does that. But Expedition's structure is going to be easier to play through for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be able just to beat the game and play through it. So it's super, and I hate to say this, but it's incredibly subjective. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's to the point where it's incredible, because like Expedition just does so many things that just makes it so much easier to play. You could just beat the game, It was Metaphor. It's a slog sometimes to get through it. If you get through it, it's great, because there's so much good content in there, but you really got to be dedicated to get through it. So that's why I say it's hard to even just compare the two. But I'll say this about Expedition. I'll say this in terms of modern RPGs that try to do, like, that try to do something different from a Western studio. it's by far the best thing that I've played since the Mass Effect series. I don't like The Witcher. I don't like Cyberpunk as much as other people do. I think this is right up there with Mass Effect for me. So I can say that, which is super high praise, because all my favorite turn-based games are all Japanese, and this game is right up there. Or all my favorite RPGs are usually Japanese games, and it's right up there with Mass Effect to me. So I would say it's as good as Metaphor, and I'd say in some ways it's better, but Metaphor has so many other things that it does, better than Expedition, because this is their first shot, whereas Atlas has been doing this for a long time,
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, who knows what their next game is going to be following up Expedition 33. I mean, it could be pretty cool.
And that's the thing that gets me tingly, because they did so well on their first one. This is incredible for their first attempt at this. This is insane. I don't think I've ever seen something as good as this. If you go back and play Mass Effect 1, it was not as good. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like overall,
they got better as it went along.
Yeah, and they got better as they went along. Their first attempt is insane. And even if you look at like Atlas, like with Shin Megami Tensei, like those first games obviously are not what we get now. So the fact that they were able, but to be fair, right, they were able to look at all the other RPGs and say, hey, what can we take from each one of these to make it good? But still, it's still really hard to do that. So yeah, like I will give them super cred for what they did on the first attempt. That's just nuts, So I'm very excited. And the story, it can go anywhere, like it can, the story can go anywhere from here. And that's what makes it exciting to see what they do next,
Gingerbread Tiger Woods says, deliver at all costs is free on Epic Games till May 29th.
Yep. Isometric style game, kind of like the old school GTAs, lots of world destruction. Just a lot of fun stuff going on it.
Good stuff. Claw says, happy Memorial Day weekend. If the Fire Emblem 4 remake finally comes, I'm going to miss all the clown makeup posts on the Fire Emblem subreddit. Well,
I didn't even know there was a subreddit.
There's a subreddit for everything, and most of them are clown makeup posts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Archie says, do you think Nintendo will remake Zelda Ocarina of Time? Man, this has been
there's some rumors, right?
Highly debated topic for a while.
Yeah.
When it makes sense, it does make sense next year for the 40th anniversary for just the Zelda franchise. That would be the move. You would do it then. You'd put it in a gold cartridge, and man, what a perfect world that would be. Probably won't happen, but at least the gold cartridge part. Anyway, the idea of an Ocarina of Time remake, it lines up. It is also one of those risks, though, because you could potentially mess it up. That's very possible. That is a game, though, if it gets remade, Nintendo, I think, has to do it themselves. I don't know if I would trust an outside studio to do it. I would say, you know what, we'll take care of this. We'll handle it. We want to put a lot into this and release it on the Switch 2 specifically. I think that's what you have to do. Take advantage of the newer hardware. It's like the highest rated game of all time. So yeah, do it right. But man, I do wonder what they're going to do for the 40th anniversary of Zelda, because I feel like that should be a pretty big thing for them to celebrate. Maybe a remake for Ocarina of Time is the move. Although you would also maybe want to announce that. Do you think they just do a 40th anniversary Zelda Direct?
That'd be cool. I'd like that.
I think we'd all like that. You could also just announce it during like the fall Direct. It's like, because that would be in February or March that the 40, because I think it came out earlier in 1986, right, in Japan for Zelda. Yeah, it'd be in February then, if that happened, I believe. So you would, if you want to release it around there, then you would announce it during the fall Direct later this year, actually, or you would have the anniversary Direct, we'll say, around that time.
Full shadow drop with Cart releasing later, getting the double dippers.
That'd be crazy. Yeah, that would do it.
They've done it before.
People would absolutely buy that game twice. Yeah, absolutely would.
People love Zelda, man, and people are looking forward to anything Zelda. People obviously, want it. So yeah,
Ocarina of Time remake would be crazy though. That would do it. Yeah, they were made in 3D, but I mean, like if they did like a full, hey, we're going to take advantage of the Switch 2, and we're gonna really remake this thing. I mean, the 3DS remake, sure, but that was still, it's not like a powerhouse system compared to the last gen one that they did with like even N64 or something. The Switch 2 legitimately being significantly more powerful would That'd be crazy to see.
Yeah.
Sillian Gamer says the detractors canceled both my Switch 2 pre-orders. Any positive, meaningful advice? Thank you for the Urban Style podcast. Here is some momentum.
Momentum.
This is
Positive, meaningful advice.
This is all making fun of a certain streamer. The
whole
thing is just making fun of one streamer.
Well, hey, from what I hear, a lot of places will have Switch 2s on release day. So there you go.
I put it in the house and head out there. You guys.
The Casual New Gamer says finding a nip and then PLE online was my youth. The Sly Rise says Nintendo 64 connected to an RF modulator set to channel 3 to a 13-inch color Gold Star TV with the 2 VHF UHF rotary dials, the good old days. Getting the new N64 original PlayStation hooked up through the VCR was like some wizardry stuff back then. Getting everything synced up to work, we were like, you thought your parents were like incredible or something.
And having color.
Figure out what channel to set it to so it actually gets picked up once you power it on. It was crazy.
Yeah, good times.
Man. Valenhorn says, thank you all for mentioning GameCube controller. Got my order in finally. Only one more Spawncast for Switch 2. Why does typing super chats on mobile suck? That was a good question. That's something that YouTube should probably figure out because a lot of people watch on mobile.
They won't figure it out.
It is one more podcast though before the Switch 2 releases, it is crazy to think because it feels like we've been talking about the Switch 2 just in the internet has forever now. And we're 10 days away, 11 days away, something like that. It's soon. Not this Thursday, come up the following, Wednesday night. I am getting it I'm going to attempt to get it at midnight. Hopefully everything works out there. But are you getting it at midnight, OJ? You're waiting for the next day to get it?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be. I can't say everything that I'm doing, but yeah, I should. I'm going to be in visiting my brother. I'm going to be in San Francisco, so we're going to be doing some stuff. So hopefully we can get it at midnight. But yeah, there's some cool stuff planned.
Can't say everything that I'm doing. You drug running again? What's happening?
Drug running to San Francisco. On a plane. Hopefully I don't get caught by the TSAs,
Just put them in the balloons and put them in your belly.
That's probably a bad idea. TSAs oh my gosh, they crazy in California.
The Casual New Gamer says Ocarina of Time remake and Breath of the Wild style of gameplay to upset fans. That would upset fans. They would, if you remake Ocarina of Time and throw the traditional dungeon format out the window, that would be nuts.
It's not even really a remake then, if you do that.
Reimagining almost, right?
Yeah. If you throw away the dungeons, then that's not a remake.
No, it'd be like the Final Fantasy VII remake thing, where it's like, we're getting the 1-to-1 remake, and then it's different. It's like, wait a minute.
Okie doke.
They release it in 2 parts when you get to the church, and then when you leave it in the new world is the next one.
Yeah, that's my brother didn't yell at me for that, but he asked me, he questioned me why FF7 remake was that way. He called and questioned me. Now he didn't say it was my fault, but he's like, is there a reason why it's split up? And what's all this other stuff? That didn't happen. That's what he told me. That didn't happen in the original. So he just said he wasn't buying it.
TF Soul says camping chair is ready for 3 p.m. GameStop, June 4th.
You got to get the little grill you can set up in front of you. Just make some brats.
If you're a pro member, you'll get a Red Bull. You'll get 1 Red Bull. Only if you're a pro member, though.
Yeah, what's that about? That's kind of strange.
If you're not a pro member, you bring your own Red Bull.
Dude, Red Bull
I will
giving away that stuff for free, get people hooked.
Yeah, but back in the day, like we did the midnight release stuff a lot back in the day when I worked at GameStop. And I remember Halo 3 was one of them. We just gave out pizza. We just ordered boxes and boxes of pizza and handed them out. Like it was like, hey, you get Halo, you get a sliced pizza, whatever. We'll send you on our way.
GameStop had money to throw around, man. GameStop had money
to throw around. Anything. They just said, come get your game and leave.
I remember it came down to how many pre-orders you'd get at the store for how much they're going to give you for marketing and promotion. So I think what they did was they gave our store manager like X budget. Hey, you guys got this many. And he was like, let's just get by pizza, which actually worked out. People loved it. They're like, oh, cool pizza. So,
and back then pizza was actually cheap. Like it was actually like really cheap. So you can get a lot of pizzas.
I have no idea what the pizza was. It was a place, I think, in the shopping center. We weren't going to go far for it. It was like, I just walked 50 pizzas down the thing, bring them down here. Yeah, it was, it worked. It makes sense. You come in, get Halo, here's a sliced pizza, leave. So
I'll do it.
Take your greasy hands and go.
I'll do it. You offer pizza, people will show up.
Those were the days of that was the Halo 3 release where you got the helmet if you wanted that big special edition one. That was
the cat helmet.
Yeah, the cat helmet. I remember I got that. I got it when it came out. I remember I walked in the back, and it's funny when they came in, we had to stack them in the middle of the back room. And we had to put a tarp over it, over all the Halo 3 stuff. You weren't allowed to have it out in the open. You had to put a tarp over it. And I remember I walked back there. The store manager calling back. I walked back there. It's like, yo, check this out. He just opened one and like had the helmet out. It's like, all right, I thought we were covering that, but all right, cool. It's like, yeah, this one's mine. I bought it. Okay. I mean, it was funny just to see it there. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But
nice.
As before Halo 3 came out, we played the beta for it, I think.
2007? Halo 3, 2007, right?
Yep. 07. Big deal. Damn. Big deal back then.
Feels like such a long time ago compared to like today's day, like gaming. It feels like a whole separate life almost.
It really did. It just makes me think the midnight releases and stuff, and we don't see them very often, but when you get a good one like a new system, a new console launching, and you basically have to go to the store. I mean, you get it shipped in, but most people are excited to go out and get it. You're not buying it, you're not downloading the system. Basically, it's like, I got a lot of people together for the midnight release. It's fun. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see that pop up again here for the Switch 2. Shinru says, evening, gentlemen. Thanks for all the news, videos, and content on the daily. By the way, Capcom's first $70 game was Dragon's Dogma 2 from last year.
Yeah.
Cheers.
My bad. Yeah, I messed up on that one. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, I don't know, something about the next Resident Evil game. It wouldn't shock me. Although I guess they could stick to 70. This month coming up, June, we're going to see a lot of stuff get announced. We're going to see a lot of release dates. Everyone trying to get ahead of GTA 6 means a lot of games are going to come out in the next year. And I'm curious where that $80 price tag falls, because I think people believe it's going to be on a lot of stuff. I'm kind of thinking it won't be. I think there's going to be hesitation there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be as across the board as people think. Medallion says Switch 2 pizza party stream. I don't know if we'll be eating pizza and handling the new Switch 2 all at once.
Greasy Joy-Cons doesn't seem like a good idea.
But when you're there waiting in line and you order a pizza and you're the nice person who does that for the line, that's another story. It's a different story,
Yeah.
Helps people out. Maybe I'm at Best Buy and I get some pizza for the line. I don't know. We'll see. Although no, I may show up later. I'm trying to figure out what the line's going to be like at Best Buy. How many people in the chat are going to a Best Buy? Let's figure that out. And then I'll kind of
two other people, and they're both going to your Best Buy.
Yeah, I'll gauge this. I'll figure out what we're dealing with here. Let's see. Queen says, I live in Hawaii. Our GameStop starts selling at 6 p.m. on the 4th of June. Hold on. Yeah, it would make sense, right? 6 p.m. there.
Yeah, because Hawaii's like 3-4 hours back.
I feel like it might be
then like West Coast time.
Yeah. What time? West Coast time. So for us, it's like 6 hours. What time is it?
No, for you guys, it's like 6 hours, sometimes even further back, depending on where in Hawaii you are. I've been to Hawaii. That is just trippy.
Yeah, from me, it looks like here they're 6 hours behind. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that makes sense. 6 p.m. That actually works out really nicely because you could kind of just be on the way home from work and I'll stop off and pick it up. That's that. And I'll head home and play it.
I love Hawaii. I gotta go back. I've been there twice. It's so nice. Shoutouts. Good tip on that one.
Shoutouts to all of Hawaii.
Yes, Hawaii is so goated, bro. It's so fun. I love Hawaii. I've been there twice and it's so good. I gotta go back.
Gonna dab up Hawaii. That's what he's gonna do.
Yes, Hawaii's great.
Oh, there's a bunch of Best Buys around me. I'm thinking of like 4 Best Buys in the area that I can drive to. So they're all over the place here. I was thinking one might open up actually right near my house where they have like a big box store that's like empty.
Jeez,
watch them put a Best Buy there.
They're opening new ones. They've been closing them.
They close them down, the big ones, and then what they do is they then shrink the Best Buy down. I've seen that happen a couple of times. Where they relocate maybe 2 miles down the street from where the old one was, and it's just a smaller Best Buy then.
They just consume the corpses of the old Radio Shacks or something.
That might be the case. Like,
Radio Shack was ass, bro. I hate it.
Dude, don't give me that shit. You could buy some crazy cool stuff there. All their old remote controlled cars and everything.
My bad. I meant Circuit City was ass. That's what I was saying.
There you go. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that.
Circuit City. No, Radio Shack was all right. Circuit City was ass. That's the one, because there was one when I was going to Fresno State. there was one that we went to that was always ass. Like they would not get us the games. They never had stuff. One guy looked, I said, yo, I need Prince of Persia, the remake, or like the whatever it was that from the 360. I was like, and he was like, yeah, I can't find the key, man. And he looked at me like, you're right.
I can't find the key.
That's when you pick up the chair next to you and just blow into the glass.
I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, you can't find it. I'm like, dude, bro, go get the key. Like, and then they went out of business. I'm like, that's the reason why y'all going out of business, because y'all terrible.
I can't find the key. And like, that's the end of it.
And he looked at me like, hey, man, sorry. And I'm like, dude, I'm not leaving until you go get, I want the freaking game. Now go find the key.
I don't have the key. Comp USA. That was, I used to Comp USA a lot because that was like in the area. That's where we had to get computer parts. That was it. Otherwise, you got to drive an hour. I have to drive an hour into like PA for Micro Center.
Yeah.
But Comp USA was much closer. It was near the mall too. So it was like, just even if you're at the mall, you can just shoot over to Comp USA. But now, you know what I've noticed? Dude, Walmart is starting to carry video cards and motherboards and RAM. It's so weird.
But those are always like the weird, super cheap, like it makes you feel like you're like, oh, I'm building a computer, but then you do, and it's just not good.
No, I mean, it's limited supply. I was surprised to see it there at all, though. Like, well, why is there a motherboard and video cards here? That's interesting.
Well, a few years ago, I thought I saw a PNY at Walmart, like the Pony brand, and Pony is not good.
No, I don't recommend.
Don't do that.
The
it is the Spirit airline of freaking computer parts. Like, don't.
It kind of is actually.
Don't do that.
It kind of is, man. That was the go-to when you were in like college or high school or something, trying to build that budget PC, and you're like, maybe I'll just Sharpie over the PNY logo.
Am I okay occasionally hearing popcorn sounds from inside my computer? Am I cool with that?
Hey, that was the move back then. That was it. Let's see. I think that's everything there. Got everything. We're good. Oh, let me check Streamlabs actually. We can go around here. OJ, where can all the good people find you, sir?
Yeah, I'm on my channel on YouTube, Player Essence. I stream pretty much daily, and I edit videos on Nintendo and RPG content. So if you're into Nintendo and RPG content and live streaming, pretty much got new content almost every single day. Also run the Spawncast pre-show. So if you want to drop by before this show, Spawncast pre-show, you can do that as well. Got some cool Nintendo Switch 2 content going up. We're going to be doing some cool streaming as well for the launch of the system, but I've got some other stuff when it comes to like guides and other things that I'll be doing upcoming for the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. So yeah, look out on the channel. A lot of cool stuff. We're going to be doing a giveaway for a Switch 2 as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
What about Evan?
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, X, or whatever at Kimmerich Project. Anything tabletop, I usually post up there. I'm trying to get some more stuff out. Yeah, shout out to Josie's Amish Internet. Gave us a little bit of time talking to her. Shout out to Sean, coming over here for the little guy before going to the show he actually wants to be on. Stuff like that.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. That's everyone. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Getting out a little early for Memorial Day, so everyone have a good, I guess, short week. Hopefully for people at work and everything. We'll be back next time. Be
safe. We're really close to Switch 2. We don't need nothing happening to anybody. So you guys all be safe. Guys all be safe out there, please.
New generation's about to start. So we'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Last podcast for the Switch 2. So a lot of stuff's going to be happening here pretty soon. So exciting times. New generation. And we will we'll catch you guys next weekend.